Hello, welcome to the suite. Y'all, guess what? Come on in here, come on in here. Todd has filed a response to Kandi's latest divorce filings, and I have the receipts. I'm going to show them with you guys. I'm going to share them with you guys right after this intro plays. If you would, give me a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back in about 51 seconds with all the tea.
Since the beginning of time, beauty salons and barbershops have had a special place in the hearts of the industry professionals and the patrons alike. We can all remember trips to the shop, special moments made, conversations had, and lessons learned. From politics to pop culture, the latest gossip, love and relationships, and social movements. It's all talked about. Lifelong friendships are created, networks are built, ideas are shared, and politicians are made or broken. Our power is great. Our reach is wide. This is the place where we all shine, from the beginning to the end of times. Let's keep the conversation alive. Join me in my suite from your suite, and let's talk about the tea.
All right, you guys. Unfortunately for our girl Kandi Burris, Todd Tucker is not going down without a fight, and he is trying to give our girl the blues in this latest divorce saga. As we know, Kandi filed for emergency hearing for temporary custody order to be put in place, and so Todd has now responded, and we have the receipts. Here we go, y'all. I'm gonna read them to you all. I'm going to read you guys the divorce filings, the latest filings. So these were actually filed. This was filed on February 5th, 2026 at 9:32 a.m. in Fulton County Superior Court. Okay. It says, comes now respondent T. Jermaine Tucker, father by and through his counsel of record, Randall M. Kessler and Aisha Hayward James of Kessler and Solomani, respectfully showing the court that he should be designated the primary custodial parent with primary decision-making authority until further order of the court, and files his response to petitioner's motion for a temporary hearing on parenting time and child support, and respectfully shows this court as follows. Okay, here we go. Introduction. Petitioner, Kayla Tucker, that means Kandi. Kayla Tucker means Kandi. Petitioner Kayla Tucker, mother, initiated the instant action for divorce on November 25th, 2026. The parties were married on April 4th, 2014, and are the parents of two minor children, A. Tucker, born 2016, and B. Tucker, born 2019. Since the filing of this action and for substantial periods preceding it, father has acted as the primary custodial parent, providing the minor children with their primary day-to-day care, supervision, schooling, and overall well-being, while mother's employment has required her to work out of state for extended periods. Now, y'all, we all know that to be true. We all know that Kandi is currently in New York working on her play. We all know that Kandi has traveled quite extensively in her career and during their marriage and during her motherhood with these last two children and with Riley. So we know that to be true, y'all. And you know, it's like the Bravo is going to be all the receipts that Todd needs. Okay, let me get back to this. Okay, given the nature of mother's employment, it is expected that these work-related absences will continue, making a custodial arrangement that accounts for this reality necessary to serve the minor's children's best interest. So what Todd is asking for is for some kind of arrangement to be in place, because that's in the child's best interest, considering Kandi is traveling out of state for work, okay? While the parties appear to be close to reaching agreement on a parenting plan and have been actively working toward resolution of the issues concerning the minor children, father files his response out of an abundance of caution in consideration for the statutory deadline to respond and to preserve his rights in the event the parties are unable to resolve all remaining issues related to custody, parenting time, decision-making authority, and support. So basically, and support. So basically, Todd is saying that even though he and Kandi are currently working on trying to come up with their own parenting schedule, he needs to respond to the courts by the deadline that he had to reply, because in the event that they are not able to come up with a plan on their own, he needs it to be on paper, on record, that he is responding, okay? Because otherwise, what she requested would automatically, it'll be like he didn't respond, so he has no objection with what she requested. So this response is done out of an abundance of caution to put it on record that this is what he's asking for, even though they're trying to work it out themselves. Let me put it on record, make sure all my I's are dotted and all my T's are crossed. And that's a part of having good counsel and that this filing is not intended to impede settlement efforts, but rather to ensure that appropriate relief may be addressed by the court if necessary. So again, he's saying that he doesn't want this filing to impede on the process that he and Kandi are making together outside of the courts, but he needs it to ensure appropriate relief may be addressed by the court if necessary. So if they cannot come up with the conclusion or an arrangement themselves, he's going to need the courts to step in. So that's why he's filing this, okay? In the event the parties are unable to resolve all remaining issues related to minor children, father shows that a temporary parenting plan designating him as the temporary primary physical custodian with joint legal custody and father having final decision-making authority best promotes stability, continuity, and best interest of minor children during the pendency of this action. So basically what Todd is asking for, let me read that again. Father shows that a temporary parenting plan designating him as a temporary primary physical custodian. Basically what that means is the kids live with him the majority of the time. With joint legal custody, meaning that Kandi does not lose her rights as a mother. They're going to share joint legal custody of the children. And father having final decision-making authority. Basically what that means, like in states like Louisiana where I live, that would be considered domiciliary parent. Domiciliary parent is the house or the home, the resident where the child spends the majority of the time, and the domiciliary parent at the end of the day has final decision-making authority in the event that the two parents cannot come to a decision together. So that's basically what he's asking for, okay? Father admits the statements contained in paragraph 1 of mother's motion for temporary hearing on parenting time and child support. Motion. 2, father admits the statements contained in paragraph 2 of mother's motion. 3, father admits in part the statements contained in paragraph 3 of mother's motion, to the extent that the parties incur routinely monthly expenses on behalf of the care and maintenance of the minor child, including educational, medical, extracurricular activity, and personal maintenance expenses. Father denies all remaining allegations contained in paragraph 3. So y'all, those were the paragraphs where Kandi was stating that she was the one paying for all of the things for the kids, okay? Father denies the statements contained in paragraph 4 of mother's motion to the extent that it reflects mother's interpretation of OCGA 19-9-3 by way of further response. Father shows that it is well settled in Georgia that it is the joint and several duty of each parent to provide for the maintenance, protection, and education of his or her child. Father admits the statements contained in paragraph 5 of mother's motion. Father denies all allegations contained in paragraph 6 as it is vague and ambiguous as to which residence is referenced, given the parents jointly own multiple properties. By way of father's response, father states that the parties divide expenses by agreement, with each party responsible for expenses associated with his or her separate property, and both parties continue contributing to expenses related to joint owned properties. So basically, y'all, that was where, in that paragraph, that was where Kandi was asking or was stating that she pays the mortgage and Todd pays no bills and things like that. So what Todd is saying is that he pays what he agrees to pay. He pays his portion of what they jointly own together, and he pays for his own separate properties. And we know that Kandi bought the home that they shared together as their marital home before they actually got married. So what Todd is probably saying there is that he doesn't pay for that home because that's not his home. He pays for his apartment or his condo in New Jersey because that's his condo. The buildings and commercial properties that they own together, they pay their fair share or portions of, is what he's saying. They split those expenses, okay? Father denies the allegations continued in paragraph 6 that is vague. Okay, that's that. Okay, let's go to the next page here. Y'all bear with me. It's only about 6 pages long, okay? Father denies the statements contained in paragraph 7 of mother's motion. Father denies the statements contained in paragraph 8 of mother's motion. I need to go find those. Father shows that since the initiation of this action, he has been the only parent consistently present in Georgia where the minor children reside, while mother has worked out of state for an extended period of time. During this period, father has acted as the minor child's primary and day-to-day caregiver, handling their routine care, school-related responsibilities, and daily needs, notwithstanding mother's extended absence. Father has consistently facilitated mother's parenting time, including transporting the minor children to New York during the Christmas holiday so that mother could exercise holiday parenting time. Any disputes arose solely from mother's unilateral efforts to arrange travel and parenting time without prior good faith consultation with father, which was not in fact undermined the minor children's best interest. So what Todd is saying is that he has always made the kids available. He even took the kids to New York for Kandi for Christmas, and any problems that may have came from Kandi trying to do things on her own without consulting him. That's what he's saying in that paragraph, okay? Paragraph 9. Paragraph 9 of the mother's motion does not require a response from father as it contains mother's request for relief. In other words, she's asking for the child support. To the extent that a response is necessary, father denies any implication that court intervention is required due to father's conduct and shows that he has facilitated mother's parenting time throughout the pendency of this action. Father states that a temporary order is appropriate to provide clarity and structure consistent with the minor children's best interest and to prevent parenting time from being unilaterally dictated based on mother's availability, work schedule, or personal convenience other than the minor child's routines and needs, which father has been responsible for maintaining during mother's extended periods of employment-related absence. Now, y'all, this is going to be tricky because basically what he's saying is that he wants a set parenting time, like every other weekend or every 5 days or 2 days on, 3 days off, 2 days on, whatever, however you want to call it. He wants a set parenting schedule. But that would be very difficult for Kandi because Kandi doesn't know where she's going to be and when she's going to be there. And how would that work around her filming schedule and her Broadway shows, right? So if her parenting time is set at every other weekend and she has a show every other weekend, like, is she really going to want those kids up there every other weekend? Especially if she's working. So how is that going to work? So what Todd is saying is, for the stability of the children, he needs parenting time to be set versus a unilateral, which means one person, which means Kandi just dictating when she's going to come in and out of the kids' lives. And I understand what he's saying as far as needing stability for the kids in that aspect, but at the same time, he knows damn well it's going to be hard for Kandi to stick to a set schedule as far as visitation goes, when her work schedule varies so much, and Todd knows that. But at the same time, Kandi has a choice. She can come off the road and take care of her kids, and she wouldn't have to make that decision. But if she chooses to stay on the road, and she chooses to continue with her career and with her demanding schedule, then Todd can still maintain the argument that those kids need stability and a set parenting schedule, and that is going to hurt Kandi. I believe that's going to hurt Kandi. Okay. Paragraph 10 of the mother's motion does not require a response from father, as it contains mother's request for relief to the extent that a response is necessary. Father admits that the entry of a temporary parenting plan addressing parenting time, holidays, academic breaks is appropriate during the pendency of this action. So he wants them to set parenting time for all the holidays and everything. He's like, I'm not going to be bringing them up into New York and having to take pictures with Kandi and play like we one big happy family. If it's your time, it's your time. I'm dropping them off. It's my time. It's my time. You drop them off. Todd is like trying to really make this thing black and white, cut and dry. And it seems like Kandi is asking for a little flexibility because her schedule is going to require that. Paragraph 11 of mother's motion does not require a response from father, as it contains mother's request for relief to the extent that a response is necessary. Father requests that mother's request for relief be denied in its entirety, and it is premised on mother's unilateral attempts to dictate parenting time with the minor children without prior good faith consultation with father and without adequate consideration of the minor children's best interest or the existing custodial structure under which father has been providing their primary day-to-day care. Father further states that if the parties are unable to reach agreement, spring break parenting time should be determined by a court-ordered temporary parenting plan and allocated in a manner consistent with the minor children's best interest rather than by unilateral scheduling decisions. So Todd is asking for the court to come in here and say who's going to get the kids over spring break. And we all know spring break is coming up soon, okay? So Todd is asking for this to be done right now because he does not want it to be a unilateral decision being made. Let me go back because I don't want to read that wrong. He says unilateral scheduling rather than by unilateral scheduling decisions. He wants the court to decide versus he or Kandi being the decision maker. He doesn't say in this unilateral decision making by the mother. He just said unilateral scheduling decisions. So he wants the court to step in and decide who's going to get the kids over spring break. Paragraph 12 of the mother's motion does not require a response from father, as it contains mother's request for relief to the extent that the response is necessary. Father states that these issues should be addressed at the 60-day status conference scheduled for February 19th. So we have another court date coming up, February 19th, and that the court should schedule a temporary hearing at the earliest available date in order to establish temporary custody, parenting time, decision-making authority, and support in accordance with the OCGA 19-9-3 and 19-6-15. So he's asking the court to step in and not only do the parenting plan, but also establish child support, okay? Any allegations not specifically admitted to herein are denied. Further recognizes mother as a loving and capable parent and supports her continued and meaningful involvement in the lives of the minor children. However, any temporary custodial arrangement must reflect the children's present reality and best interest, recognizing that father has functioned as the minor children's primary custodial parent during the pendency of this action, while mother has been employed out of state for extended periods and, given the nature of her employment, is likely to continue doing so. Father shows that a temporary parenting plan designating him as temporary primary physical custodian with joint legal custody and father having final decision-making authority best promotes stability, continuity, and best interests of the minor children during the pendency of this action. So what Todd is saying is, because Kandi's employment doesn't seem to be changing in the near future, we really need the courts to step in and give us some kind of a direction as far as the parenting plan goes and child support, because we don't see any changes happening in the near future. And we need the plan to reflect the children's present day living situations, where they go to school at now, not the fact that they could potentially homeschool in the future and travel with their mother, not the fact that their grandmother, Miss Mama Joyce, could step in and help take care of the kids, or that Kandi has nannies that she provides for the children. Todd is asking for the parenting plan to reflect what the kids' lives are like today, where they live at today, where they attend school at today, and who is taking care of them today. That's what he's asking. Okay? Oh my goodness. Father shows that the parties have been working cooperatively towards a private resolution of all issues and have already participated in multiple mediation sessions, but have been unable to reach agreements on temporary or permanent plans or on a comprehensive settlement of all issues. Father shows that it is in the minor children's best interest that such an order be entered on custody, parenting time, and support during the pendency of this action. He is going to give Kandi hell. Let me tell y'all, he's going to give Kandi hell. I have been through this personally. Personally, I have been through this. And my co-parent would not agree to anything. And I don't know who's holding this up, who's the one that's not agreeing, because they want two totally different things. Kandi wants the kids to be able to come and visit with her in New York and have 50-50 custody. How is that possible when those children are in school currently? Todd wants the kids to stay where they're at and for Kandi to have set visitation. How is that possible with Kandi's current work schedule? If neither one of them are willing to bend, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. It's going to cost them much more money and much more peace than it is worth. I'm telling them. I'm telling you, it's going to be a mess. If neither one of them is willing to bend, and how do they bend? How do they come to a resolution when Kandi wants the kids to follow her around the country and Todd wants the kids to stay put in Atlanta? And it's not that Todd just wants the kids to stay put in Atlanta. He wants them to stay put in Atlanta now. Okay? Were they staying put in Atlanta before these divorce proceedings? Or were you making arrangements and accommodations for them to be homeschooled or to take a home break or whatever to go on the road with their mother? I'm curious to know what the travel arrangements were like before this divorce proceedings began. Did the kids ever go on the road with Kandi? And if so, she needs to bring those things up. If not, I'm sorry, Kandi, you can't take them on the road now. Like, it's going to be very difficult for you to make that argument in court. But if they have ever been on the road with you, and they have ever had education on the road, a tutor on the road, and things like that, then you can show a pattern that this is the way it has been in the past, and now all of a sudden it's a problem. I think that might work out in Kandi's favor. But if she can't say that those kids have ever been on the road with her, doing studies, doing academics, extracurricular activities, all those things that Todd will get them in, that will keep them in Atlanta, you can't just uproot them from that. You can't let them miss their basketball game every other week because their mother works out of state. It doesn't work like that. Now, she can come back in state every other week, but how does that work with her Broadway show? So, it's like she's going to have to make some choices. and I feel bad for her because I understand, as a working mother, that's going to be a hard choice for her, especially someone who likes to work like Kandi likes to work, okay? Father respectfully requests that these issues be addressed on the 60-day status conference scheduled for February 19th, 2026, especially since the parties have already attended multiple mediation sessions. In the alternative, Father requests that the court schedule a temporary hearing at the earliest available date to the matters outlined herein. Wherefore, the Father respectfully requests, here we go. This is what Todd is requesting. Here we go. Drum roll, please. The mother's motion for temporary hearing on parenting time and child support be denied to the extent that it contradicts the father's request for relief. That a rule NISI issue scheduling this matter be heard at the 60-day status conference on February 19, 2026, or that the court schedule a temporary hearing at the court's earliest convenience. That the court establish a temporary custodial arrangement in the best interest of the children, with father being awarded legal custody, final decision-making authority, and primary physical custody of the children until further order of the court. So what Todd is asking for is for this to be a temporary thing until further order of the court, so they actually have an actual hearing, okay? That the court determine all matters related to minor children in accordance with OCGA 19-9-3 and 19-16-15, that father be granted such other and further relief as the court in its discretion deems just and proper. Respectfully submitted this 4th day of February by Randy Kessler. Okay, got a certificate of service, all that stuff. Okay, y'all. So that is what is going on. And I can only imagine the stress that Kandi is under right now, because it's a different kind of stress when you don't know what the courts are going to do with your children, and your children's relationship with you, your children's stability or future with you is in the hands of a court system that's going to look at what they deem the best interest of the children. And oftentimes in custody cases, parents or one parent is able to frame the other parent to look a certain way in the eyes of the court. And in this case, Todd has the upper hand because it's a fact that Kandi works out of town. It's a fact that she travels a lot. It's a fact that those kids are in school in Georgia. It's a fact that those kids are young. It's a fact that those kids need stability that they won't go on the road. It's a fact that uprooting them and putting them on the road is going to change their day-to-day routine. That doesn't mean that it can't be stable, though. Many kids are raised on the road with their celebrity parents. So Kandi wouldn't be the first parent to take her kids on the road with her. She surely wouldn't be the last. And as long as Todd was getting that money and enjoying that life and those perks on the road with her, he didn't have a problem with it. But now all of a sudden, the kids need stability. Where are the kids at for the last 6-7 years? When you were married to her and she was on the road and you were going on the road with her, where are the kids at then? So if Kandi can prove those kids who have ever been on the road with her, even with their dad along to accompany them, then she can show that this has worked in the past, and that would actually work in her favor. But if that's never happened, then it's going to be hard for her to convince a judge to uproot those kids from their day-to-day lives and let them go on the road with her. But like I said, she does have the option of her coming to visit them every other week or week on, week off, or whatever the case is, but she'll have to adjust her schedule accordingly. And that's only fair. It's not okay. It's not going to be fair to make those kids see their mother around their mother's work schedule. The mother needs to design her work schedule around seeing her children. So that's going to be a decision for Kandi, and it's going to be a come to Jesus moment between her and her children. She's going to have to decide what's more important, you know. But I can guarantee you, what's not more important is being Todd or fighting Todd to the detriment of your children. It's not that serious. I mean, I understand it's serious that you want your kids, you want as much time with them as possible. But I'm telling you that dragging this out is only going to make you bitter. It can give you diseases, you know? Like a long custody battle for a mother will put you in a place of stress and anxiety that nothing can relieve. Nothing can relieve. You know, she's going to have to lean heavy on God and get on her knees and pray about it. And at the same time, come to call herself to the carpet and ask herself, is the love of money more important than the love of your children? Is the love of money more important than your children's stability? Because Kandi has enough money right now to stop work and put her money in the bank and live a decent life off the interest that she can make on her money. But it's the never satisfied, the never, what's the word I'm looking for? Never content. You know, she's never content. And that love of money, that hustle, and then she likes to brag about it. It's not like she's a humble person with her money. You know, she likes to talk about the fact that she has this money. She paid for her house cash. She did this, she did that. So, you know, all those things come up and bite you in the butt. That love of money, you can't take that money with you. When you leave this world, it cannot go with you. Get yourself some good insurance policies to make your kids a beneficiary of. Pay your insurance policies and come home and raise those kids. If not, you're going to have to get those kids to Todd and see them every other weekend during the holidays, if your schedule permits. Between your kids and that EGOT. Maybe when she gets the EGOT, she'll settle down a little bit and come home and be a mother. I don't know. But I pray for Kandi and I pray for Todd and the children, as I personally know. I've been there. I understand how nerve-wracking this can be. And it's not fun for anybody involved. And the Todd, if you're getting any bit of satisfaction out of dragging her through the mud and through all of this, then have mercy on yourself. Because it's not cute, it's not fun, and it's not okay to stress the mother of the children out just for your own games, for your own humor. You know, it's not okay either. You know, and Kandi, if you being mean, just because you don't want to give up some child support for those kids, you need to get up off of that too. Because you make plenty of money, and you know you make way more money than Todd makes. And if you were a man, if he was a woman, you'd be paying them child support for those kids. You can't be the boss and want to do all of that and not want to pay child support. I mean, that's just not okay. You don't want those kids living like slum when they were Todd and then living like little kings and queens and they're with you. That's not how that works either. And that's not in their best interest either. So I pray that Todd and Kandi can both be adults, mature adults, and love their kids more than they hate each other right now. And honestly, just put their own differences aside and do really what's in the best interest of those kids. And Todd, if that means you got to bring those kids up there every other weekend to see their mother, you might have to do that, because that is in their best interest too. You know, they have to have some kind of a relationship with their mother. It would damage them so much to not see her. And when they get older, you're going to have a hard time justifying to them why you took them and their mother through all of this. So both of you will. So I hope it's worth it. And I hope that you guys get y'all shit together and come to an agreement before the courts have to impose one themselves. So I don't know who's being the difficult party here. I don't know who's not willing to budge. But we do know that Kandi was not willing to budge on that prenup. We do know that. And it's sticking her in the ass right now. It's kicking her in the butt. Her unwillingness to budge on it made it seem like he signed it under duress. And now she's subjected to the whole thing getting thrown out because she was unwilling to budge. Sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes it's counterproductive to stick your nails in the sand and refuse to move, especially when it comes to your children. So I encourage them to work together and try to work this thing out. And guess what? The longer y'all drag this out, the more money those lawyers make. And guess what else? They don't care. They just want to get your money. So you have to give the money to your lawyers and give the Todd for child support. That makes no sense. And Todd, you rather spend your money on lawyers and take care of your kids yourself. That makes no sense either. Y'all get it together. For Ace and for Blaze, get it together. Get it together. Get it together. Okay? That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. What do y'all have to say about that? What y'all think about this latest divorce filing? Okay? Who y'all think is holding it up, Todd or Kandi? Who do you think is the party that is unwilling to budge in the mediation, Todd or Kandi? Do you think it is Todd saying, no, I'm never bringing the kids to New York? Or do you think it's Kandi saying, no, I'm not agreeing to a set parenting schedule? What do y'all think it is, and what do you think the holdup is? We know child support is part of it. Kandi don't want to pay. So what else do y'all think the problems are? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it, and we'll continue to follow this story. And again, let's send good wishes and good vibes out to Kandi and Todd, and especially Blaze and Ace, and Riley and Kayla too. Okay? From my sweet to your sweet. Peace out, beautiful people. Until next time.